Hello, Scorpio. Hello, Scorpio. This is Adrian. I go Capricorntigress with Astrology, a look inside, coming to you with my take for your reading for the month of February. So, what I've done is I pulled up this little chart the other day. I'm actually going to look at where the placements are again right now, so I can make sure because I should have did this a few days ago, but me and my I've been procrastinating. I'm wondering, Scorpio, because here's the thing. I've got Scorpio rising in Seattle, so I often I've started looking at the Scorpio readings because I have this Scorpio rising here, and I'm beginning to notice the correlation between myself and Scorpios. Now, I also have Scorpio up in the 10th house, and I have my Venus in Scorpio, and I have my Neptune on my midheaven in Scorpio. So Scorpio influences me. I also have my moon in Taurus, but it opposes my midheaven and my my Neptune. So I feel like when I read for you guys, or get any kind of message or whatnot for Scorpios, well, I feel like I'm getting that message for myself as well. I feel the same with Aquarius. So I usually look at Scorpio, Aquarius, and Capricorn, as well as Taurus, because my moon is in Taurus. Now, I've heard one of my favorite tarot readers says to look at Jupiter, which is interesting because my Jupiter is in Pisces. And so that would be interesting. I don't know where your Jupiters are, but maybe you Scorpios want to start taking a look at your Jupiter a little more closely. So I'm looking at where the planets are right now. It is now the 28th of January. And I just want to see if there's any major differences from what I had originally had here. And probably the biggest change from what I originally had here is that Mercury has moved into the sign of Aquarius. And that would be down in your 4th house, your natal or your solar 4th house. So that would place the Sun and Mercury in your solar 4th house. That is, to me, is an indication of family. That's family and security. And with it being a square, a natural square to Scorpio, well, I'm just wondering if there's been something that may have made it feel that you weren't quite secure, or as secure with your family life, your home life. Maybe your family and home that you got so much feeling of security and comfort from may not be giving you quite the feeling of security and comfort right now, because the Sun and Mercury in Aquarius is highlighting the fact that it is a natural square to Scorpio, and you may be feeling that. Whenever the Sun is down low in the horizon, anyway, like 4th house in particular, it's really kind of like at its lowest point, right? Like it just isn't at its highest point. And Mercury there is not, it may make you a little close-lipped too, because it's in Aquarius, but it's the 4th house. Now, I would say your best bet for the month is going to be dealing more with your finances than anything, because Venus and Jupiter are in the solar 2nd house for Scorpio. And that indicates that there could be a positive, beneficial feelings and influences around money, what you own and what you possess, and the money that you are able, the toys you can get, and the possessions you can own, and the money that you have coming in. And also I can see whenever Venus and Jupiter are in the second house, that it indicates a very gracious time, a very giving time. You'll feel like you'll be able to give more of yourself and of your time and of your being, because it's the second house is really what we have to give, what we have to offer to others. It can also indicate, a bigger house, a bigger car, a nicer furniture, more clothes, better, just more toys. In general, I could see this becoming something that becomes a theme over 2019, at least until Jupiter moves into Capricorn, because this is your solar second house of money and what you own and the toys you have and all the creature comforts of life. I think it's just really highlighting it now this month because, well, the second house is the natural house of Taurus. The fourth house is the natural house of Cancer. I don't know why. I just feel like whenever these are all beneficial planets in these houses, it just seems like a lot of comfort and ease and security. It seems to be a build-up what's going on right now. You do have Saturn and Pluto in the third house of communications, and they've been there for a while. You may have found that you're communicating more, or more communication is coming into you. You might have found yourself on the phone more, on your cell phone more, making more, or getting more emails, or responding to emails, or doing more online work, or more clerical work. Just things that have to do with the third house, which is communication and, reading, writing, arithmetic, that type of thing. So I could see where that could be, Saturn's there. So maybe even working with the area of communication, like speaking, writing, just communicating. It's a very powerful area because both Pluto and Saturn are there in the third house. And, well, yeah, that's powerful communications. Serious, powerful communications. And you are not playing around when it comes to communications. Communicating is not no game, okay? What you say, you mean, and what you mean, you say. And I wouldn't mess with you. In the area of communication with Saturn and Pluto in the third house, you will cut somebody a new butthole if they rub you the wrong way. Sometimes words can cut and harm more than a physical strike. I remember when I was growing up, they would say, there was a saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never harm me. Well, not when it comes to you, Scorpio, because if you decide you want to say something to somebody in that way, well, your words are pretty damn scathing. I don't know if people are going to recover from that. It's going to be a little painful for quite a number of people if they mess with you. It really would come into play with family members. I'm seeing like nieces, nephews, cousins, uncles, aunts, sisters, brothers, and distant relatives, like all your cousins and nieces and all that kind of stuff. So be careful what you say around your family, because with the Saturn and Pluto in the third house, which is, extended family, and then Sun and Mercury in the fourth house, which is family, I could see where there could be some discussions and it could get a little bit weird with the communication in the third house or with family members. So be cautious of that, because Mercury, which is the natural ruler of the third house of communication, is in the fourth house with that sun in the month of February. That is communication all down around the family area and home. So, oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. My TV must have restarted. But anyway, so if you've got family, if if you're living with family or whatever, make sure that you watch out for that during the month of February. Neptune is in Pisces, and so is Chiron. It's in the fifth house. I've talked about this with Scorpios over the last few months about Neptune in the fifth house and how it, can be a little bit confusing. It can be a little hard navigating. It could be something hidden there. It could just be that we are, feel over expectations, and we could be let down because it's hard to live up to expectations if they're so grandiose and glorious that only a God could possibly live up to those dreamy requirements that we have for our love partner. It could be that our love partner is deluded about us. Maybe they can't see us clearly, but we definitely can't see them clearly. Not with Neptune floating through the fifth house right now. And Chiron's there too. But the funny thing is when Chiron's in Pisces, or if Chiron's in the fifth house, it's a great time to heal the area that Chiron's in. So in your case, it's a great time to heal your love life, a great time to heal your love relationships. But the fifth house also could be healing with children. So if you got children, especially children that might live in your home, this might be a good month to heal any disagreement or anything, smooth over those relationships with those children. And open your eyes to your children, because you could be deluded in who your children are, because Neptune's there. It's hard to see when Neptune's anywhere it is. In your case, it happens to be the fifth house. Also, be cautious of gambling, like gambling and taking chances and playing the lotto and scratchy tickets and bingo and all of those things. I mean, yeah, Chiron's there. It could heal this area and make you lucky, but most likely it's going to heal by making you lose because it's Chiron. So I wouldn't even mess around with it, really. It's Chiron. It's not to be messed with, I think. And whatever healing you're going to do, let it happen on a, organic level. I wouldn't go out and do anything that was taking a chance. I like opening a business. And here's the crazy thing. With me, with the Scorpio first house here in Seattle, I've opened my new business with Neptune in the fifth house. Now, luckily, I'm an astrologer. But unless your venture is something like astrology or psychic or something metaphysical or Neptunian in nature, and that could rule anything musical or beauty or acting, anything that has to do with Neptune. Neptune also rules things like smoke and perfumes and oils. I would look up Neptune and all that it represents, because it's in your fifth house of taking chances and entrepreneurial ventures. And so who knows, with Neptune smack in the middle of Pisces this way, I would see what you can do as far as taking advantage of having Neptune in the fifth house. It's highly creative. You'll have highly creative children if you're someone who's looking at having children right now. And if you're not having actual physical children, you'll have highly creative brain children, creative children. Wow. Very, very creative. Now, the sixth house does have Uranus and Mars in it in the sign of Aries. And Uranus and Mars are both very action-oriented planets. Mars in particular is kind of like the god of action. And Uranus likes activity, but it's erratic activity. In your case this month, they're sitting in the sixth house, which rules the area of health and the area of work. So your health and your work and your diet and your hygiene and any type of service that you provide or services that are provided to you, like if you go to the hospital or the doctors and you have to have certain services, those type of things would definitely be highlighted. If you're feeling like your health isn't great and you feel like you want to go on a diet, Mars there in the sixth house might make you feel like you need to go on a diet or that you want to do more. You might go start working out or something like that because Mars is there and it's going to inspire you to do something a little bit different, something a little bit action oriented, because Mars is action. So you're going to be inspired to take action, and you're going to be taking action in the area of your physical body, or, well, I can't say it's your physical body, but it's your health. It's your health. And so you're going to be taking care of that area in February. Now, also, the North Node is in Cancer. That's your solar ninth house. And when I look at that, because it's Cancer, right? And so it's making a natural trine to some of you Scorpios right now, and it's, you know, it's at 26 degrees today, and, you know, probably by the end of February it'll be closer to 20 degrees or so, but it is definitively in Cancer, and it's in your ninth house. Now, the ninth house, well, Cancer, first let me say what Cancer is. Cancer is very nurturing. Cancers are very emotional. Cancers are very giving and compassionate. Cancers are the feeders of the zodiac. They will feed you a decent dinner and top it off with some hot pie. You know, they are those kind of people. They'll take in your children and babysit them when times are tough for you and you don't have a sitter. They are those kind of people that reach out to their friends and family. They're very caring. Care is a very good word for Cancer, because even when they aren't doing the best that they can, most Cancers try to be kind to most people. So you've got this now in the ninth house, and this is kind of influencing the way you feel about these ninth house subjects. And feel is a great word for Cancer. And I wouldn't spend too much time on this, except for the fact that wherever the North Node is, it's indicating where the emphasis is. So this area is where the emphasis is. Now, I think it's kind of funny that the ninth house is the opposite house of the third house of communication, which I've spent so much time talking about. It's almost like the ninth house is the higher octave or higher level of communication, and the third house is the more menial level of communication, like things around the house or just general BS. We talk to each other all day. Whereas the ninth house is where it's like a mind expansion type of thought processes there. And the North Node is in that area, telling us this is the area that we're going to focus on. This is the area of focus right now. The ninth house, it can indicate travel. It can indicate international travel. It can indicate education. It can indicate going back to night school or going to a university or college even. It can indicate finishing off a degree. If you're someone who didn't finish off your degree, I would use this time while it's in Cancer to go back through and do that, because the emphasis right now is in that ninth house. Cancer is there, and whatever you do, especially if it's something that's caring and nurturing and just love-based. I think it's going to do very well right now, because the areas of the ninth house are really charged. You know, it's the house of dogma, religion, even like religious fanatics are seen there. And with Cancer, it's like you could get so emotional over your cause, what you believe in, what seems so vital to you, what you believe in. And you can get so emotional over it. It can become overwhelming. And so it's important to know that these are the areas that could overwhelm you, but these are the areas that you need to focus on while the North Node is in Cancer, because it's going to increase your awareness and your higher learning, even the higher consciousness, like that whole higher consciousness mindset. That's all indicated by the ninth house. And I wouldn't spend so much time on it, but when I look at your chart, it's just sitting up there all by itself in the ninth house. It is, if there is any elevated planet, it would be the North Node, and it's not. You have no actual elevated planet right now. Every blessed thing other than the North Node is sitting below the horizon. Can you see what I've created here? Can you see that? Everything other than that North Node is sitting under the horizon. It's a very subjective month for you. You're thinking very subjectively. You might even have pulled in ranks, man. Pulled in ranks. The only people you are probably communicating with is family. And I guess work, you know, if you're going to work every day, because you got Uranus and Mars there in the 6th house of work, so you could be communicating with those you work with. And of course you got the Neptune down in the 5th house, so your love partner and your children, you're communicating with them, but it's all kind of family oriented type of communication, because really it's a very subjective month. It's time where you're going deep within yourself and looking at things, how they affect your life on a really realistic level. The 2nd house, the 3rd house, the 4th house, the 5th house, and 6th house. That's money, communication, home, love life, or children, and work. That's what you're concentrating on. And then there's that North Node in Cancer up in that 9th house, indicating probably things like politics and religion. And now, one of the things that I am thinking, because I think it may be something that I'm going to be doing, is some of you guys might be doing legal paperwork. You might have to go down to the courthouse and do some legal things, or file legal documents, or even speak to a lawyer. Or I could see you going to court, speaking to attorneys, talking to your clergy, or going to your religious leaders. That could be part of it. I can see people who are deeply involved in politics right now, and the dogma of politics, and possibly even there's a big thing with all the racial things going on right now, and all the Trump things and all the trials that they've been having. So I could see someone getting caught up in that. What I would say is use this time, because the 9th house is a very spiritual, philosophical house. Like, all of our philosophy and altruism and everything is tied in to the 9th house, and our in-laws, and it can be a very pleasant house. Like, it's a house where we're just growing and learning, and we could be learning more esoteric, like existential, mind expanding information, instead of concentrating on petty things. So I hope that you use that compassionate, caring, nurturing North Node in Cancer in your 9th house to be more nurturing, caring, and compassionate to others and possibly even your fellow man with the Sun and Mercury in Aquarius in the month of February. So for some reason, I was led to do this reading for you, Scorpios. I think it was probably more so I could see how it's going to affect me with the Scorpio rising here in Seattle. But I also want you guys to be aware that with the Uranus, which is now direct and going quickly into Taurus, it will be in Taurus before we know it, and Mars, which is in Aries, that there could be some shakeups and some action and activities at the workplace that I want you to be especially cautious about in the month of February. Okay, all right. But push if you need to push, because with Mars in the 6th house, it's going work, 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 work. So go ahead and do the work, right? Get that work done. Because with Jupiter and Venus in the 2nd house, if your work leads to money, work, 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 work. Okay. Well, this has been Capricorntigress of Astrology, a look inside. Thank you guys so much for liking and sharing and subscribing, and definitely help me get the word out about what I do with Astrology, a look inside. I'm going to put, for the first time, I just opened up my Patreon on my page on Patreon, so I want to put this up too, because I have things that range from $5 all the way up to $50. And so I hope that you come and become a patron on my Patreon page. I love you, Scorpio, so I hope you guys definitely do come and hang out with me. Okay? All right, you guys. Oh, and I will place a link below also, because everyone, of course, is invited to like us on Facebook and join our Facebook groups at facebook.com/groups/astrology, a look inside. Okay, everyone. Well, happy February to you. And with that Neptune in the 5th house and the healing of Chiron and that Jupiter in the 2nd house, oh, Lord, let's hope you have a beautiful Valentine's Day. Because I see it could be really romantic and just fantasy. Happy Valentine's Day. Much love and light to all. Bye now.